Who are you with?
I'm Michael Burnbaum from the Washington Post.
Vladimir Putin has been absolutely dog-walking Trump since these negotiations for peace started. Dumpy Don would do anything to discredit Zelensky, either calling him a dictator or lambasting him for not taking a crappy minerals deal. But for Putin, it's a completely different story. Trump loves that old Russian dictator more than he does his own daughter. But it's not just Tiffany who's getting shafted by Trump. A reporter for the Washington Post asked a question on Air Force One that Donald Trump didn't quite like. It turns out peace deals and ceasefires don't apply to Putin because he can drop whatever bombs he wants. That's not disrespectful to the negotiations that the United States is trying to do. What is disrespectful for some reason is Zelensky not wearing a suit. If you're enjoying the coverage here, make sure to like the video and double check that you're subscribed. Mr. Art of the Deal has been claiming he's going to end this war since he took office. But really, all we've seen is empty negotiations while Russia bombards Ukraine with more bombs than ever. It seems like they're utilizing the classic American strategy of pretending to be working towards peace while actually trying to decimate your enemy. Trump is having a harder time than ever trying to convince the American public that old Vladdy actually wants to end this war.
They don't know how to end the war. I think I do know how to end the war. Despite the Russia hoax, I've always had a good relationship with Putin. And, you know, he wants to end the war. He wants to end it. And I think he's going to be more generous than he has to be. And that's pretty good. That means a lot of good things. Because, frankly, you could have made a great deal if this war never started. You could have made a great deal. I don't know that anything would have had to be given up.
Oh yeah, I'm sure poor Vladimir Putin really wants to end this war that he started. It seems like everyone's ignoring the fact that Putin can end this war by just going home. He invaded Ukraine, so he can simply stop the invasion. This doublespeak, as if Putin is reluctant to be doing what he's doing and just has to bomb Ukraine, is absolutely ridiculous. We can all see Trump slowly moving towards giving Putin exactly what he wants.
President Putin is bombing Ukraine.
Yeah.
Do you still believe him when he tells you that he wants peace?
Yeah, no, I believe him. I believe him. I think we're doing very well with Russia. But right now they're bombing the hell out of Ukraine. I'm finding it more difficult, frankly, to deal with Ukraine. And they don't have the cards. They don't have the cards. As you know, we're meeting in Saudi Arabia on sometime next week, early. And we're talking, I find that in terms of getting a final settlement, it may be easier dealing with Russia, which is surprising because they have all the cards. I mean, they're bombing the hell out of them right now. And I put a statement in, a very strong statement. Can't do that, can't do that.
Mr. President.
We're trying to help them.
So Donald's trying to sell us on the idea that Zelensky's being so unreasonable, that he's just so hard to work with, when really all the Ukrainians have asked for are some of our old weapons, so they can defend themselves against an invading dictatorship. You'd think that us Americans, whose identity revolves around fighting tyranny, wouldn't be having such a great time negotiating with a tyrant. Ukraine is being invaded. Of course they don't want to give up half their mineral rights to pay for protection that we were supposed to provide in the first place. It's not called peace when you surrender to an invading force. That's called occupation. The Ukrainians rightly suspect that in 10, 15 years, maybe even earlier, the Russians will be right back at their doorstep. And I wonder what resources the US will ask for as protection money when that time comes. Even Maria Bartiromo is fielding questions to Trump, pointing out how it sure looks like he's cozying up to Putin.
Tough, but I got along well with Putin. And because I got along well, they say, he's so... Nobody's ever been... Putin would be the first to say it. Nobody's been tougher than Trump. And Biden hasn't been tough. Biden's done nothing. He was a weak, pathetic man.
So is there anything else you want to say to the critics who say you chose a side in the Ukraine-Russia story, and that's Russia? Because, you know, you called Zelensky a dictator and you had the fight.
Nobody has been tougher on Russia than Donald Trump. Nobody. And they know that. They know that. Just look at the things I just told you. The pipeline, I stopped it. The biggest job they've ever done was the pipeline, Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of it until I came along. They were building it happily. They were going to supply Germany and everybody else all over Europe. And what did I do? I stopped it.
Trump has been yapping that he's actually hard on Russia because he closed down the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. But that's not exactly true, is it? In fact, Trump did not stop Nord Stream 2, he enabled it. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline went from 0 to 90% completed during Trump's presidency. Rather than stop it dead, the Trump administration rejected years of bipartisan congressional calls for imposition of sanctions to stop the project. Only when Congress, in frustration, passed mandatory sanctions did the administration finally take concrete action. But by then, it was too late. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline has already been built, and in fact, Russia and the Trump administration are in secret talks to restart the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Trump's special envoy, Richard Grenell, made multiple unofficial visits to the headquarters of Nord Stream 2 AG, the pipe's operator, which is fully owned by Russia's sanctioned energy giant Gazprom, in the Swiss city of Steinhausen for negotiations. The effort, led by Nord Stream 2's former managing director, Matthias Warnig, a former East German spy and longtime associate of Russian President Vladimir Putin. So much for American energy dominance. I think it's clear to everyone that Trump has no intentions of bringing the hammer down on Putin, because he has no problem with the Russians dropping bombs on Ukraine. In fact, he's all for it in order to get those sweet, sweet minerals. The more that Russia weakens Ukraine, the more Trump can lean on Zelensky to take that awful deal. At the end of the day, Trump doesn't honor liberty or sovereignty or freedom. He honors ROI, return on investment. He wants his rich American business owner buddies to get a good deal on Ukrainian real estate and lay claim to the very valuable minerals found under Ukrainian feet. All pretense of protecting American values or honoring the agreements that our country has made in the past have gone out the window along with Putin's detractors, because Trump doesn't give a good damn about Ukraine. Somehow, to him, Russia refusing a ceasefire is not as disrespectful as Zelensky refusing to be shaken down.
Have you made a final decision about what sanctions or tariffs you might impose on Russia and when that might be?
We're looking at a lot of things. We have big meetings coming up, as you know, in Saudi Arabia. That's going to include Russia. It'll be Ukraine. We'll see if we can get something done. Like to get something done. A lot of people died this week, as you know, in Ukraine. Not only Ukrainians, but Russians. So I think everybody wants to see it get done. We're going to make a lot of progress, I believe, this week.
Is President Putin disrespecting you by attacking Ukraine when you're trying to make peace there? Is President Putin disrespecting you by attacking Ukraine when you're trying to make peace there?
What did he do?
Well, he's attacking Ukraine.
Is he disrespecting me?
Yeah.
Who are you with?
I'm Michael Burnbaum from Washington Post.
You've lost a lot of credibility. Go ahead. What else?
But of course he doesn't see it as disrespectful that Russia continues to bomb Ukraine. They could break every agreement imaginable and Trump would still want to sniff the back of Putin's ears. I wake up every day now disappointed but not surprised that we're still living in this hellscape. I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American, and I'll catch you next time.